I'm Scott Al Miller. It is the 28th of December, 2022. This is my vlog of daily life in Leon, Nicaragua, except we are actually in Houston today, but I have a few of these episodes that I took a little bit of vacation on and decided I would be catching up once I got back to Nicaragua, and that is exactly what I am doing. I am really far behind. I'm actually setting a new record for just how close I can cut it. I'm recording this with just enough time to edit it and get it up for y'all. It's going to be really, really close. The sun is actually going down, so I get some good light. I think this is actually kind of cool, but cutting it really close. But we're also going to keep it kind of short so that we don't get a crazy long video, because a lot of people have complained about that, and honestly I just don't have a lot of time. So that's how we're doing it. I do have a couple of the future episodes already recorded, which you'll notice are recorded in Houston. So when you see those, you'll be like, oh, he actually recorded these at the time it was happening, and this is recorded much closer. Anyway, that is the quick story. And now I'm very much in the dark. That's how dark it is out here. Hopefully it gets brighter when this all gets edited. So today is Wednesday, and today really Dominic and I should have gone to the storage unit and worked on all of the stuff that we needed to do there, but we're kind of avoiding that. Dominica did go out and do a bunch of shopping today, however, and that was really important because we need a lot of things like suitcases. Like, we need a lot of stuff. There's a lot of last minute extra stuff that we need to be able to go. So she went and did quite a bit of shopping today, including a lot of things that we want to bring back with us to Nicaragua, and the things that we need to bring that stuff back in. So what we do, and that's what my topic today, because really the day was just hanging out at the house in Houston with the family. We're all pretty much under the weather. I am super sick today, right? So my day was me being sick and trying to work, and that was it. It's an under the weather kind of day. I wanted, or I was starting to consider whether or not I needed to go see a doctor and get some amoxicillin, because that's the way I'm feeling. But I didn't have any time today, and it's the first day that I'm really sick. So we're gonna look at maybe doing that tomorrow. So today I'm gonna be talking, because that's it. That was the day, right? We didn't do anything because everyone was sick. So today's topic is all about the travel and moving stuff from the US to Nicaragua. So let's get into it. Let's just jump right into the topic, right? Because you guys love the Nicaragua topics, and when I'm telling you about my day in Texas, originally that was the stuff people were interested in. Now it's kind of like, Scott, we're move on. Okay, so one of the things we do, this is a general, right? I don't have a specific topic for the day. It's like this general, because people have had a lot of questions this week. One is our luggage. What we do is when we fly north, we have different sizes of luggage. And so we'll take the biggest luggage and put smaller luggage into it. We'll pack our clothes and stuff that we're going to use when we're in the US into the smallest luggage possible, and then layer that like Russian nesting dolls into Nicaraguan nesting luggage into our luggage. And when we fly north, we only take a few items, but each one's stacked inside of itself. So we've got big stuff we're pulling through, and when we get to our final destination, we open it up and pull luggage out and unpack everything, and we actually don't have very much stuff. That then gives us a bunch of empty luggage to fly south with, and we don't have to buy stuff in the US. In this particular case, we did that, but we still needed more, and we have a really large luggage allowance with Southwest, which is who we're flying, and we'll talk about that in a second. And so we bought two more really large, pretty decent heavy-duty pieces of luggage, of rolling luggage, so that when we came back, we can bring that much more stuff. Now for us, of course, this is a Christmas trip, so it's the most extreme, because there's just all kinds of unforeseen stuff that's going to come with us. And we go into the storage unit and bring some stuff with us, and we go shopping and get lots of stuff that we need and bring it with us. And so we, even on this particular trip, I didn't fly with a GoPro north, I didn't fly with a laptop north, I didn't take much of anything. Like, it was as lean could be, and then everything that we needed we bought while we were up north and are bringing it south with us. So this was an extreme trip. Most people doing this are going to bring a laptop or going to bring their camera, whatever, and go back and forth with it. But because I do so much video stuff, basically I never am going to take a camera north, and quite often every 2 to 3 years I need a new laptop, and because I have a different situation than most people, right? Mine are going to, one, I need very, very fast new stuff so that I can use it with my video editing, and that makes a big difference. The other is that because of the company that we have, laptops and stuff that we have become hand-me-downs. So it's not like I'm throwing them away. Normally mine go on to my children. At some point the children's go on to someone in the company, and we have a really long pipeline of what to do with our laptops and desktops and stuff when we are done with them. And so because of that, getting laptops relatively often doesn't have the negative connotation that it does for most people who'd be like, what am I going to do with this laptop? No, for us, there's a constant demand for them. So the fact that we're getting a new one helps everybody down the chain get a new one as well. So it's makes sense for me to be picking them up on a regular basis. And if I'm not getting one, Dominica is. If Dominica's not, the kids are, or Paul is, or somebody. And sometimes it's multiple. So we do a lot of that. And because of the show, I'm always needing a new camera, right? I was really hoping to be bringing back 2 or 3 on this particular trip. Ended up the GoPro 11, Tron now, is the only thing that we picked up this time. I had been hoping to get the DJI Pocket 3. It didn't release. Like, come on, DJI. What? Everyone was expecting it to release in November. I gave it every possible second. They never released it. I have no idea if it's not coming, if it's going to be really late, but it feels like it would be the perfect vlogging device. It's what I really wanted to be using. I was really excited to get it and show you guys how well it worked, because the Pocket 2 is pretty fantastic, and the 3 should have, there's a certain expectation of what some of the upgrades are going to be, and they're going to be really good, really applicable to what we do here. And I thought it was going to be just this wonderful, just overall addition and upgrade to the vlog, and they didn't have it. I was also really excited that GoPro is due to bring out the Max 2, which I've talked about a month or 2 ago. Their new 3rd gen 360 cam. I have all kinds of plans on how I want to use that, and they didn't bring that out this year. They did announce that a month or 2 ago that it wasn't coming in 2022, so it wasn't a surprise that we didn't get that, but it's still a big letdown that I was planning on some combination of those 3 cameras coming back and having all kinds of new ability to get footage and interesting new things. And the one that is the least interesting, I still love it, don't get me wrong, the GoPro 11 is fantastic. This is so much better than the 9. I'm hoping you guys can see that it's a little bit better, but it's really pretty minor, right? It's basically the same lens. It is basically the same sensor. It is basically the same overall look. It is the same colors. It is the same functionality. I'm not getting some new super wide. I'm not getting some new, edit later. I'm not getting some gimbal stuff. Like, there's all kinds of cool things we would have been adding, and we didn't get that. So that's too bad. But this is a good upgrade, so I'm happy about that. All that, though, we bring a lot of new stuff south, including we get all of our clothes up there. I got new sandals. I got new casual shoes. I got new sneakers for all the walking around I plan on doing for you guys. We got new, shirts and pants and socks and underwear, just all that stuff. Every time we go, we get that stuff and a bit of it. So that's just important, and this is something that you will do if you want to live in Nicaragua, and a lot of places in this region, but Nicaragua especially, far more than others, because it's so difficult to get things here. Not that you can't, it's just more difficult, and the selection is smaller. You are going to want to be able to buy your shoes in the United States because they're going to fit you. It's just going to be easier. Now, I wear a size 14, so I have to get them in the United States, right? It's all but impossible to get them here. But other things, right? It's just easier. It's often cheaper to get them in the United States. You can go use Amazon, you can go use Walmart, you can go do whatever, and then just wear it down, bring it in your luggage, whatever. That's going to make your life so much easier if you're ever making trips to the United States. So plan on that. Make that a part of your, this is either something you're definitely going to do and you got to plan for it, or consider that you may want to look into it as a way to make the Nicaraguan experience better for you. It's just one of those things that by understanding that you can do this, all those like, oh, it's really hard to shop in Nicaragua. Well, but you're going to be going back to the US. Here's how you do it. Okay, that makes sense. The other thing we wanted to talk about is the flights, because everyone's been asking, because I've had a number of videos, but it's a lot to go back and try to research, and they change constantly. So everybody asks, why do we fly Southwest? And of course, they're really asking this because in the time since we originally booked it, and now Southwest has been a huge flaming disaster of flights, and it's like, why would you fly this airlines, right? Okay, so there's a lot of reasons. One, Liberia. So let's talk about the airports. Managua is our main airport here in Nicaragua. It is in the middle of the country, and it is about an hour and a half away. Liberia is our first major airport outside the country. It is in Costa Rica. It is about 6 hours away. That's a lot farther, but it's only 6 hours. It's not a crazy distance. Both of them have flights now to the US. At the time that we booked, there were not flights, except for Avianca, which I don't even consider on the airlines. Don't even get me started, but obviously don't suggest to me to fly to Avianca. I'm not going to do it. Don't say, but there's flights to Miami. There is not. I have done that. I will never make that mistake again. I will never trust getting on an Avianca plane, period, right? They made a huge attempt to block us from getting back. They are not safe to fly, not going to do it. And they're not direct. So we're rarely direct. They go through El Salvador most of the time. So that is not an option, right? So there were no viable flights between Managua and the United States at the time we had to book our flights. Now there are. Spirit and American Airlines have returned, and at the time I'm recording this, I believe United has actually returned, but I've not had a chance to check it yet. I will do so and make a short soon, maybe even before you see this, and just talk about whether or not they have returned or when they are or whatever. But that is the plan. 3 major U.S. airlines providing service between Managua and the U.S. So that makes Managua really viable. But at the time we were booking for this December, they were not flying. And again, everyone always, the backseat drivers on this stuff, right? Well, but they've said on their website that they're coming back. Yes, they've said on their website they were coming back every month for over 2 years, right? We've been being told, just book you can book your tickets, all this stuff, and then they cancel them every month. This has been going on. We could not trust them. We had to get to the United States. So we flew Southwest because they were actually flying out of Liberia. But we don't necessarily have to do that. Now, the reason for us that even though airlines have returned and ones we like, right? And a lot of people have a lot of negative things to say about Spirit. I love flying Spirit. Every time someone complains about them, their complaint is consistently, well, I didn't understand what I was doing and did something wrong, and I didn't get something that wasn't supposed to, right? And it's like, okay, so you don't like what you chose with Spirit, but was it Spirit that was wrong? Because every time I fly with Spirit, knowing what I'm gonna get, I'm happy that I pay a good price and get really good service and it's really comfy and like, I don't know. My experience with Spirit has been excellent, regardless of what other people have had. But seriously, when people say they hate them and then you ask them to explain what they don't like, it ends up being well, I don't like that I booked the wrong flight, or I didn't want to pay for luggage and so paid more somewhere else. Like, they just evaluate it poorly. That's a big part of my job, right? Helping people learn how to evaluate things. So that's one of those things, like, you question, when you say you don't like something, what is it you didn't like? Is it actually a viable thing? My beard is bothering me. In the little little camera image, it's like, oh, do I need to trim that? I can't tell I can't tell. It's distracting me. And so we have these airlines that we like, but they don't fly to the airport we want to go to, which is Hobby, right? So they fly to like DFW, for example. Well, from Liberia, we can fly directly to Houston Hobby, which is right next to all the family in Houston. So here's the problem. If we fly Spirit, for example, to DFW, which is a path I love, I would happily do that anytime, any day. I end up about 5 hours away from the family, and that is not particularly useful. If I'm going to go an hour and a half to fly 5 hours away, or 6 hours to fly 5 minutes away, that's basically a break even, right? It's almost exactly a break even. Technically, I think Liberia is actually the shorter path. The negative to going to Liberia ends up being that you have to cross the border and there's extra hoops you have to jump through, and sometimes that's a pain, and I get it. And some people don't want to cross into Costa Rica, but honestly, it's a really simple country to deal with. They're very friendly to tourists. They have a lot of tourist infrastructure. They have really good taxis and all that stuff. So the effort of dealing with Costa Rica is very minor. So for me and for my family, it's basically a break even of whether we fly one of the other planes to somewhere in the US or we fly Southwest through Liberia to Houston Hobby Airport. Where things get really significant is that, one, it's easy for us to arrange things here on this side. It's difficult for us to arrange things on the expensive US side. So flying into where family is, that family can pick us up and we don't have to do a rental car. We don't have to do, there's a lot of things to go wrong in the US because there's just a lot more risk in the US from everything. There's so much more to fail. If you put all the effort on the Nicaragua and Costa Rica side, you just have much more control of it. You're much less likely to have a disaster. So that alone is probably the biggest factor. That makes it that this is the way we probably want to go. It allows us to control things because we're ending up at Houston Hobby. If you're not flying into Houston Hobby or someplace like that, then this discussion probably doesn't apply to you. But everyone has been asking why we did something that doesn't seem like we would want to do it. The other thing is that we actually enjoy going to Costa Rica. No, I don't want to live there. I prefer Nicaragua. a lot. I love living in Nicaragua, in case you haven't noticed. I picked it intentionally. I put a lot of effort into choosing Nicaragua. I'm not saying I don't want to live here, but I really enjoy getting my little mini vacations in Costa Rica from time to time. They have amazing food, they have neat nightlife. It's just, I like Costa Rica. I enjoy getting to be there, and I get very little time there. So when we fly and we get an extra couple days there, that's just a nice little bonus, basically getting a tiny mini vacation for free. Especially because we have like restaurants we just love to go hit. And when we get to the US, we find we're not that excited about the food, but when we're in Costa Rica, we are excited about the food. So that's actually an important factor. We enjoy going to Costa Rica and eating. If we go to Managua, yes, we enjoy eating there too. Not a big deal. We could also kind of make it a mini vacation there, but we do that all the time. Costa Rica, it's a special event. So that kind of adds a little bit to it, that we just like being able to do that. And Southwest has really good luggage allowances, and that is also a big bonus for us, that a lot of luggage is important for us. So because of those factors, we're probably going to keep using Liberia, and because we've worked out some things, like we know exactly what taxi to take or what shuttle service to take, how to get across the border, who to talk to, what to do, what the process is, how much it's going to cost. We have it all worked out to a science, and sometimes we have to go into Costa Rica for things that are not flights, so we have to do all that stuff anyway. We're not getting away from doing that. It's just we now get to do it in a different way. So it's for us, it really does make sense. And for a lot of people, I think it will make sense. Not the majority of you, but many of you. It's not going to be a unique situation. Wow, for me, Costa Rica worked out. No, for a lot of people, it's going to work out. And if you, like an awful lot of people who are coming to Nicaragua, decide that San Juan del Sur is the place that you want to be, it's going to push Costa Rica way up on your list, because Liberia is going to be closer than Managua, not farther. That's a really big factor. We're up in León, so the distance from here out to Liberia is really far. We basically have to drive past Managua, not quite, but nearly, to get there, and it's right at the beginning of the trip. So for us, it's a really far way. But if you're coming from even Granada, it's pretty. I just completely lost. We're going to stop for just a second because I don't know what happened, and we're going to be right back. I'm going to guess this is a heat saving measure, because it just shut down the front screen. It just kind of went, and that was it. And I have no indication on the back why that happened or what caused it. So I'm just going to guess that is, I don't know. Still learning some stuff about the new GoPro 11. It does some things differently than the 9, and sometimes I'm caught off guard. So I think a lot of you are going to keep using Liberia. Even people from Granada are going to find that it's not that far away, even though they're closer to Managua. It may swing the difference. If you're living in Managua, obviously that's going to make Managua Airport just unbeatable. So where you live in the country makes a big difference. Where you are headed to in the States makes a big difference. And just like what you like to do, which airlines you have points with, whatever. There's a lot of factors, but for the majority of people, now that the good airlines have returned, Managua is going to be your good choice, and I do suggest you look at Managua flights. Coming in to the middle of the country is really convenient, unless you're going to San Juan del Sur, then it's a break even. But that extra border crossing, it depends. That can be a big pain. However, a lot of people actually find coming through Costa Rica is actually easier than coming in through the airport in Managua. It's fewer people, less hassle, faster in many ways. So it's not as bad as it sounds. But Spirit is my preferred way in. A lot of people honestly like the higher cost, more luxury service of American or United, and that's fine. You have great options coming in to Managua, and from there you can get shuttle or taxi really anywhere in the country, or take the buses. That works too, but if it's your first time, you're not going to want to be figuring that out, very likely. Yeah, so that is why we did the travel that we did in the way that we did on this particular trip, and I think we will do it again. We don't know exactly when we're returning to the US. We don't anticipate a trip back until next Christmas. That doesn't mean we're not, but our time in the US is very limited, and it is extremely costly to go there. So we have to be pretty cognizant of those things when we're making those decisions. And right now, we simply don't have any plans. We do know that we have a lot of travel stuff coming up this year that will eliminate our need for being out of the country any additional time. So we're just kind of waiting to see what happens throughout the year. Thanks for joining me. Please remember to like and subscribe. If you have any questions, get down there in the comments. Leave them down there. Let me know what you think. What flights have you done? What are you liking? Where are you thinking of going? What do you want to know about the airports? Even food in the airport. What are you looking for? Oh, by the way, we did eat in the Houston airport when we got back, and the food was pretty bad. Even at the really expensive fancy places, we've lost our taste for American food. Our standards are much higher than they used to be, and it's amazing how much that affects you. Here is my dogs who really want to be on the show just before we leave. They're very excited that I'm here, or mad that I'm outside the fence. Okay, here we are. And if you'd like to support the channel, you can buy me a coffee. Link below, buymeacoffee.com/Scott L. Miller. And as always, tell your friends, post on social media. The show is getting going. We have a water leak in the yard. We got to look into that. And I will see all of you tomorrow.